So, let's get to Matt in Oslo, Norway, who has called like 3 weeks in a row right at the end of the show, and I apologize we hadn't got him on. Matt, you're on now.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we do. Thanks for waiting 3 weeks or more.
The first week you hung up on me, and then I called in too late the second week, and yeah, now I'm finally here, and you're not going to slip away this time.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, man.
Well.
I got you on the hook now, yeah.
I have the control box for the phone in front of me, so I'm not sure who's got who on the hook, but go ahead.
Let's have some fun.
Let's enjoy it. What's
Show's
up?
beginning. I have Oreos. Let's talk. It's going to be a good show.
Okay, Matt. So, I got proof that evolution is bullshit, and...
You do?
Yes,
So
and
let
I can
me-
prove creationism now, once and for all.
Hang on.
Hang on. Do you have a Nobel Prize to go with that proof? Do you have a
No.
PhD in biology to go with that proof?
I don't need that.
Do you have
I don't
peer-reviewed
know.
scientific papers that you have written
That
and published to
matters.
go with that proof?
Martin, come on. That's
No,
not
I
nice.
mean, it's like you're coming on the show, and right out of the gate, you're claiming that you can show that a foundational pillar of
Okay,
biological
sorry.
science
It was
is
a bit
bullshit.
exaggerated, okay? I admit
So,
that.
so yeah, I mean, can you demonstrate that you have any remote expertise or knowledge to make that claim?
Well, let's say this. You just admitted that it's an exaggeration. It's fine. I'm okay with some hyperbole. My question is the same one that I asked another caller last week, which is, let's say, for example, that you could, right now, disprove evolution. What difference does that make? My atheism is not contingent upon evolution being true.
Yeah, no.
So what difference, why would you call into an atheist show to try and disprove evolution? Because we're not biologists. We're not here to actually review anything. We're not experts on the subject of evolution. Anything we say here could just be incorrect. And even if you proved it wrong, it still doesn't prove that creationism is true.
Yeah. There's a few reasons, I suppose. The first one is that I've talked to many Christians and atheists, and many atheists say that the reason they can't believe the Bible is because it says that man was created, and then evolution totally goes against that, you know? So that's a big reason, I suppose, and if evolution actually was proven wrong, then more people would become Christian, maybe.
Well, then they'd
perhaps,
have really bad reasons for it. I mean, there may be people who say, I can't believe Christianity because the Bible says people are created. But that's only one of many things that are wrong with Christianity, not the least of which is you can't demonstrate that it's actually true.
Well, I can demonstrate that it's true, and that's why I'm calling in here in the first place, you know?
Well, then, hey, I would suggest that you start with proving that your religious claims are true and not say, I'm here to disprove evolution.
Okay, well, I got evidence, like, for creationism as well. Like, I can start with that, you know?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so there's this specific animal I would like to talk about. And I think it's only logical if it came from creationism, you know? And I got a few reasons for that. First of all, the physical appearance of the animal, like, it makes no sense considering where it lives at, you know?
Well, which animal are you referring to?
I'm referring to Tasmanian tiger. You might want to Google that.
Thylacine?
because you probably never heard of it.
You're talking about thylacine?
Yeah, thylacine.
Okay.
Okay, like, if you look at this animal now, I hope you got a picture up on it. It looks like a dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it lives south of Australia. It looks like a wolf, you know, not a dog, but more like a wolf, you know. Like, and while at the same time, it looks like a tiger, you know, because of the stripes. Now, this would only make sense in the regard that, you know, because, you know, it has no reason to look like a wolf, you know, because, you know, it's in Australia, you know, there's no native animals there that look like wolves, you know.
Well, it's
And
isn't
a
thylacine
specific animal
Hang
in
on,
the
Matt.
only family of species, like, you know, like it looks like that. It's really fishy, you know. I think that's actually creationism, you know.
So your argument about thylacine is that you think it is evidence for a creator simply because its appearance is not something that you can think of a better explanation for other than a creator. In other words, its appearance is baffling, and therefore you don't think it could have an evolutionary lineage. That's
yes.
basically your argument.
That's called an argument from ignorance fallacy.
I wouldn't say that, Matt.
I would.
Well, it is. It is.
I mean, I'm just saying it is. If you say, I think, well, that explanation A is true because it hasn't been proven false, that's argument from ignorance. In this case, what you're talking about is more about what Dawkins has referred to as the argument from personal incredulity, and that is, I don't see how any other explanation could be better. That's not the way science is done. That's not the way we get to reality. Is to say, I can't think of anything that fits this better, so I'm going with this. Well, okay. Maybe you just have a failure of imagination or education.
No. Wait. Okay, so it shouldn't directly point towards creationism. Okay, that's a bit ignorant, I must say.
But what about this points towards creationism? The fact that it looks like a couple of different animals, and you don't see how that's
like a couple of different animals. It's more of a a strange mixture that I don't think
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions really quickly before we go on, and I promise I won't be a smartass. All right?
I might.
No. 2 questions that I have for you. First off, I'd like to get from you a definition of evolution. Like, if I were to ask you, Matt, what is evolution? How would you define that for me?
Well,
can you just tell me what it is? Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think evolution is like a theory, because I don't think it's real science. I think that it's about the adaptation of species to, for example, climate changes and stuff like that. And yeah, that's my definition of it. Like adaptation, changes, and all that jazz.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you waited 3 weeks to come in and talk about something that you clearly don't understand.
Yeah. See, because when you stumble upon a basic definition like that, if you want to critique a science like evolution, which is a very well-founded, I mean, it's a cornerstone of modern sciences. That's fine. That's what science is all about: challenging, the existing paradigm, knowledge, always looking for different answers, new answers, questioning what is thought to be true, et cetera, et cetera. That's great, but you need to, at the very least, have a sound grasp at a basic level of what it is you're claiming to be able to refute. Okay.
Well,
and it should kind of start, it helps if you aren't just stumbling through a very basic definition of evolution, which can essentially be said to be changes in the frequency of genes, gene frequencies, allele frequencies in population groups over time. That's how scientists, that's how biologists define evolution, okay? Now, so you need to know what you're talking about before you can say, I have really, really good reasons for thinking that this whole scientific theory is not well-founded, and here are my reasons based on my understanding of it. Yeah.
See, here's the other thing is,
and you don't have that.
Let's say that you did actually understand what evolution was.
And I do, yeah.
No, you don't. You just demonstrated. You could not give a clear definition of the science, of the theory. You couldn't do that just now.
And you started with, it's a theory, not a fact, which demonstrates that you don't understand the basics of science. Because facts are things that are explained by theories. Theories are the graduation point of ideas in science.
Okay, Matt.
Facts are inferior. Facts are just observations.
Okay, Matt, but then why does America, like 4 out of 10 Americans, only accept evolution?
Because they're poorly
educated. The rest
educated.
of them are poorly educated.
We have a very bad education, and this leads to the second question that I had for you, Matt.
Okay.
The second question that I had for you, and the first one was, asking for the definition. In America, we have almost half the people here. Yes, they do reject evolution. Why? Because we have a very poor educational system in this country, and it keeps getting worse. Okay, we have conservative politicians out there who defund education. We have a guy in the state next door, Bobby Jindal, governor of Louisiana, who really, really wants to miseducate children over there. He has a voucher program that will allow people to get state money to send their kids to religious schools where they will learn that the Loch Ness Monster disproves evolution. So maybe you guys and the Loch Ness Monster people could get together on your dueling refutations and hammer it all out. But my question to you is, in contrast to America, okay, over in Norway, you guys have really good science education. You guys have a really good educational system. You've got something like 98% adult literacy. It's barely 60% here in America. You have really, really good schools.
Yeah.
So how did creationism get its hooks into you?
Well,
Right? I mean, why would somebody from a culture like yours accept something as completely cockamamie as creationism when you have had access to a much, much better science education than just about any American in a public school over here?
Well, I actually have some doubts about my own beliefs right now. Like, I recently got that. Actually, there's not, like, there are other creationists as well in Norway. Like, I'm not the only one, even if you make it sound like that. And
No, but what I'm saying is, in America, at least people have the excuse of having bad schools and a heavily religious culture to influence them away from getting a sound science education. You don't really have that excuse over in Norway. So I'm just curious why this was more attractive to you than being able to learn the facts, which you're able to do in Norway. You have with the good schools and the good education that you have.
I think he
anyone can learn
already.
the facts by Googling it,
I think he already told us why it's more attractive to him. He looks at something like the thylacine. He doesn't understand evolution, and
Not only that, no. I also listen to Kent Hovind and Eric Hovind and Paul Taylor. And,
I haven't finished talking. I'm sure you've been influenced by a bunch of buffoons who don't understand science, a bunch of people who are polluting. So basically what you're saying is the idiots from America that have been poisoning the mind of our people have made their way to Norway. I understand. You've already explained you don't understand evolution, and you look at something like thylacine, and without even bothering to investigate it, you take a cursory glance at it and say, creationism explains this better than my lack of understanding of evolution. You know what? You know why creationism seems to explain it better, even though it doesn't explain a thing? It's because magic works as an explanation for anything. It doesn't actually explain a thing. In order to explain something, we tend to explain things in terms of other things that we already understand. Creationism is an attempt to explain the mystery of the diversity of life by appealing to a bigger mystery. There's no explanatory power there. It is indistinguishable from its magic. And that's why, hey, I just did a coin trick for you. You don't know how I could have possibly done that with my fingers, therefore, magic explains it. Well, I'm sorry that you have a failure of imagination and a failure of investigation. Maybe you could actually go study thylacines and thylacine history. Where you've been and actually like gone out and done the research on thylacine DNA and morphology and things like that?
Conversion evolution?
I mean, where did you do this? Because I don't think thylacine's in Norway. Did you go to Australia?
No. You don't need to like go and see them. I mean, they're extinct, by the way. Like
I'm aware of that, and so
Okay.
are their ancestors that would offer you the evolutionary explanation that you don't seem to want to grasp.
Okay, Matt, I'll admit. Okay, this is a bad example. Okay, and
Well, why would you?
Probably
Okay, well,
creationism.
I think
I'll
we're
agree
done.
on that one, but
You'll agree what?
I'll agree that it probably isn't creationism then, if you're going to put it like that. You know?
Okay,
Okay.
so
All
you
right.
call up to say that you're going to disprove evolution, and then we actually explain why that's pointless, and then you tell us that you can prove creationism, and your first example is thylacine, which you now admit is a bad example. So are you done believing creationism? I mean, did you come in with like your 10th best argument? Because I'd recommend that in a short format show, you come in with your best argument. So what is your best argument for creationism?
Well, it's a bit personal, you know. I don't have any empirical evidence. You know, faith is like you don't need evidence. You have faith. You believe in something, you know, just to believe it. So
Yeah.
I guess I don't have any, you know, real
All right,
evidence
then.
that I can provide you. But
Okay.
Okay, Matt. Thank you.
Thanks. I hope that you realize that this lack of evidence probably means that you're believing something without a good reason. Because faith is not a pathway to truth. Faith is the excuse people give when they don't have a good reason. Now, if creationism is true, shouldn't we be able to have good reasons for it?
yeah. Well,
So find those good reasons and call us back.
wait. I wanted to talk about something more.
No.
Yeah.
No, we
have
got a
other
short
call.
show.
We have an hour
We've
show. and We got
dumped
more
this
guys to
one.
get on to.
Talk about something more when you come back with more. Thanks.
So long, Matt.
That last sentence of mine made less sense than what he was talking about, I think.
It's okay.
Anyway,